Hello, my name is Nea and welcome to Crafts and Treasures. And today we're gonna be starting a new renovation series focusing on this vintage Sylvanian Families Country Cottage. And I finally settled on a theme and I want it to be all about strawberries. So we're gonna be calling it the Strawberry Cottage from now on. And if you're wondering what's the deal with the angry little strawberry in the corner, I'll tell the story a little bit later. But first, let's start focusing on the exterior. I'm gonna be using this indoor house paint that's a leftover from my real house renovation that I did when I moved to this apartment. And we're gonna be doing all the side panels and leave the trims as they are. I've used this paint a few times before on actually another Sylvanian house as well. So I know it actually doesn't need sanding, especially when this vintage house has actually kind of gritty texture to the plastic, which the newer houses, they're like super smooth. So if you plan on renovating a newer house, I highly suggest you sand them lightly first to help the paint stick better. But yeah, here I'm starting the process, going with the flat paintbrush and just doing all the left edges first and kind of just like pushing the paint to the little corners and nooks to make sure all the edges get nice and neat. You could also use masking tape. I usually do, but this time I got super lazy and I was like, it doesn't matter, the paint job doesn't have to be perfect because we're gonna be aging the heck out of this house. I love to age my builds. I love to make them look like there's some life and history behind them. So yeah, I'm gonna be aging it. I don't want my builds to look neat and tidy. That's not the vibe we're going for. So yeah, I'm gonna do all the left side corners first with the flat brush, and then when needed we're gonna be changing into this smaller brush. This has kind of like an angle tip, so it's easier to get to the little triangle shaped corners and make the paint spread nice and evenly. And as I mentioned, like, your paint job doesn't have to be perfect. We're gonna be going in a couple more times. Like here you can see what it looks like after the first layer. It is really patchy, but we're gonna add 2 more paint layers and make sure the paint job is even and nice before adding any more details or going any further. And if you're wondering what the heck is going on with that strawberry sticker, the thing is that while I was filming, I didn't notice that you can actually see my husband all the time in the background. And while I was editing, I noticed that it's actually really distracting to see his concentration face while he's playing his PS or something. So I was like trying to edit it out, blur it, do anything to like make it subtly like just disappear to the background. But as it turned out, I'm not a big tech person. I didn't know how to properly do it, so I got frustrated and actually quite pissed off. So eventually I was like, I'm just gonna put a effing sticker on it and deal with it. And I was searching for strawberry themed stickers to cover it up, like cover his face up. And I found this adorable, pissed, angry little berry. And I think it just fit the mood, and it actually made me laugh so hard that I thought it has to be this one. So on this episode, we have a visiting star, and he's the angry berry. Enjoy. And I promise next time I'll try to pay more attention on what I'm filming and what's in the frame. Okay, so here you can see the whole exterior after 3 layers of paint. Looks nice and even though it is a little bit rough on the edges. But like I said, it doesn't matter. We're gonna add a lot of details to the exterior and aging, and that's gonna hide all the little mistakes. I'm still kind of unsure what I'm gonna do with the door. I left it the original color for now, but I might go in later and paint it white. Should I? Should I not? I don't know. Let me know. Next, we're gonna jump into the interior. I have printed out 2 wallpapers, which you'll see right over here. I made these using Canva, and the downstairs is gonna get this stripy strawberry wallpaper with this upper decorative part in it. I want it to be classic and really like cottage romantic. And upstairs we're gonna have this green one with flowers. It is quite shiny though, because I just used a normal printer because I'm poor, I can't afford fancy things. But like, it doesn't matter because they're still pretty and they're gonna be fully furnished. I don't think the shine bothers me that much. And yeah, so it is what it is. So we're gonna start with the downstairs. I'm measuring the height of the walls. And I'm trying to make sure this is like really simple, because most people don't like a lot of measuring and so stuff like that. So let's try to keep it simple, make it fast and easy in the best way possible. So I measured the wall height and now I'm marking it down to my wallpaper. Since I printed this out on a basic A4 or like basic paper piece, and it's not actually long enough for the whole room, so we're gonna kind of cut it in sections and like make illusion that it's all just continuous wallpaper. I'm gonna explain a little bit later how we're gonna do that, but for now we're gonna make sure we get the correct height and get rid of the little white excess parts that the printer left out. I try to make sure that the edges are nice and clean, because they are the ones that are gonna be connecting to the other pieces of wallpaper later. And now we're gonna need window placements, or the holes for the windows to my wallpaper as well. So what I did is I took this plain piece of paper, pressed it against the black wall, and traced the windows on the paper by coloring all over them with a colored pencil. And as you can see, it leaves these like traces where the windows like are placed in. And I just cut out the windows and then I traced them to the back of this wallpaper, so I can also cut the holes to this one. And while I'm doing this, I'm also like all the time making sure the wallpaper fits the windows as well, because we only got one shot to make it good. Next we're gonna do the upstairs, and the upstairs is gonna be tricky because it's a little bit different kind of shaped. It has this like attic shape, and it also had this weird excess trim on every side. And I was trying to measure how much is it exactly, so I could like kind of add it on my pattern. But none of my tools were really that exact. So I just decided I'm gonna add like a couple of millimeters to my pattern on every side and hope it works. But yeah, really simple. I pushed the paper against the trim, traced it with pencil, and then cut it out, and then traced also the window from the back wall to the paper. Here you can see what the pattern looks like. And I actually also added those little extra side pieces just to make sure when I add the wallpapers to the other sides of the room, I can make sure that the corners look nice and neat. Here you can see the side pieces. They're really simple. I just had to measure the height and width of the room. I add a little crease to help with the shape. Super simple, super easy. So here I have everything cut out. I accidentally just realized that I am missing how I did the door part, but basically the same idea applies everywhere. You just take a pattern paper, plain piece of paper, trace your room before actually doing any work on your wallpaper itself. And to my surprise, actually the upstairs came together really nicely. As you can see, I'm here just trying it out, how it fits. It's a perfect fit. It felt super easy. Downstairs instead, which I thought would be easy, became a bit tricky because of the wallpaper wasn't long enough. So I had to really think how to make the illusion of it being just one continuous piece. Also, the door was tricky to trace, but I used the same method of using just piece of paper and pencil on a pattern piece of paper. But that's the plan. That's how I'm gonna do it. And really shaky picture, but it's gonna go in like this. Everything's gonna be glued in, and I made sure the pattern continues on every wallpaper to the second one, so it looks nice and neat eventually. Now to the gluing. I'm gonna be using mixture of tacky glue and water. I made this smooth, kind of like yogurt kind of textured glue mixture, and I did a little test piece on this like folder holder to see how it looks on a paper, if the glue even works for that. And it looks nice. It's a little bit warped at first, but we'll see later that it actually tries out to be really neat and nice. And we're turning the house on sideways because it's easier to work that way. And that's what I love about Sylvanian houses. They're plastic, they're really light. It's easy to hold them in lap while you're working on them, or turn them upside down whenever you feel like it. I'm gonna use my fan-shaped paintbrush and just spread the glue mixture as evenly as possible everywhere where I think the glue is gonna be needed. I'm gonna start with the big surfaces and the corners first, because I think the corners are the trickiest, but you want them to look nice and neat. No warping or anything can be visible there, because otherwise it breaks the illusion really easily. So yeah, I'm spreading the glue, using a little bit smaller paintbrush here to make sure every little spot gets covered before taking my first piece and applying it to the corner. And you kind of gotta have to be fast here. You want to do it while the glue is wet, like properly wet, because then it's easier to push out all the little air bubbles. Make sure the wallpaper sits nice and tight, and if you need to move it a little bit, you can still push it just tiny bit if you're careful, without damaging the wallpaper. Especially when you're working with copy paper like I'm doing. It's really thin, it doesn't deal with moisture that well, so working with careful touch is crucial. Turning the house on its other side and doing the same with this piece, spreading the glue mixture as evenly as possible. Here I actually used a little bit too much, but it's fine, because this is one of the walls that's going to be full of stuff eventually. This is going to be the kitchen corner of the downstairs, so I don't mind, it's fine. And things like this happen sometimes. But yeah, I'm gonna put the glue and then take the thinner paintbrush to try to even out, because I got so much excess accidentally. Even it out a little bit, try to spread it everywhere. Clean up, and then go in and push my second piece of downstairs wallpaper. And as you can see, like I can push it and move it around a little bit while the glue is still wet. Makes it a lot easier. And then make sure you leave no warping or air bubbles or anything behind. And see that it sits nice and evenly. And after this is done, all we need to do is to deal with the back wall. And here I've already spread evenly all the paint, and I'm doing a little lap over on top of the other like side wallpapers to make sure that the pattern actually sits right. Just gonna push it and make sure we get out of all the air bubbles again, and like actually match the pattern of the wallpaper perfectly. This was actually a really uncomfortable angle to work with, but it's worth it. It's kind of like you do it once kind of thing, so it's not that bad. You can now see the edges, but when the glue dries, actually you don't see them that badly anymore. Here I've done the upstairs already. I did it off camera because it's a lot easier, and I think it looks amazing, but a little bit unfinished, so I think we need to add a little bit more details. after my swim break. Okay, so a while ago I got this frame from the miniature market I attended to. I made a video about that as well, and I told you that I'm probably gonna be using them for floor trims or like window frames, and I'm gonna be using my miter shears here in a 45-degree angle to make sure we get that like square shaped nice window frame. And we're gonna start from the end of the trim, make the right angle there, and next I'm gonna measure how long is the each side of the window and then mark it down and cut it from there. Here I've cut all of them, and what I actually did, I measured all of the sides, but they were all the same height, so I ended up doing this thing where I just, instead of measuring each one of them, I just traced the height from the last piece to the next one, and it made the job so much faster and so much easier. Only thing that I kind of did mess up is that I cut down the trim wrong way once, which makes the kind of like the pattern of the trim to go, well, I don't know even how to explain it. It goes like the wrong way. So I decided that the upstairs window is gonna be done the trim the other way around, and the downstairs two windows are gonna be done the trim running the other way around. I don't know if it makes sense. You don't actually see it. It's such a tiny detail, so it doesn't matter. But here I'm trying out if it's even and it's actually square shaped, and if it's not, I can always sand the edges a little bit. But yeah, here I have them all cut out. I'm gonna be using tacky glue to attach them, but before that, since we've been gluing a lot of stuff, I'm gonna be using some rubbing alcohol and water mixture to clean out the windows carefully without touching the wallpaper. And yeah, I think that's crucial to do now, because after you add the frames, it's harder to get to the little nooks. But yeah, two of these are gonna go downstairs, and one set of frame is gonna go upstairs. And this is really simple. We're just gonna be using the tacky glue and tap it carefully, like all the way to the trim pieces. And what I think is crucial here as well, just like with the wallpaper, is to make sure you work kind of fast-ish, because then the glue stays wet and you can actually move the pieces if they don't sit perfectly. This is also perfect way to hide like uneven window trims from the, like, because the wallpapers were kind of messy when you cut them out. It's hard to cut them like super neatly. So like that's like trim is one way to hide little mistakes and make things look more polished. Here you can see how I can still move them a little bit because the glue is still wet, and make sure I get them exactly where I want them to, which means evenly sitting on the window frames but also hiding the edges of the wallpaper. And then we're gonna go and just glue them all in. I was really debating, should I paint them white or leave them wood color, but I think it kind of fit the trim and the floor color, so I just left them as they are. But I'm still kind of second guessing, did I like it that way or not? I don't know. I think we're gonna keep it and just make it work somehow. It looks so nice though. After adding the old one, I think what's gonna actually push them to the next level is gonna just make some curtains or something really cute to add more texture to the indoors. I don't know. What do you think? Do you like the wood color or should I paint them white? Here you have the upstairs as well. Unfortunately, the upstairs window is gonna be probably covered with furniture, but we'll see. I'm just really excited to like fill this up with all the strawberry themed stuff. Next time though, I think we're gonna be fixing this corner and focusing on the roof because it still needs some shingles. But that's all I got for the first part of the renovation series of the Strawberry Cottage. I hope you really enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment for angry little Barry. He did a great job, didn't he? Anyway, I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.